Levine. I'm the CEO of Hello Divorce, and we offer an online platform that has legal help and wellness support. What Yeti built for us is our Divorce Navigator 2.0, which is an interactive guide for Californians who are divorcing, and it helps them through the process start to finish. And if at any point they need access to more legal help, they can click to connect with a paralegal and or a lawyer. I would recommend that you work with Yeti either if you are ready to level up your web app, or you are at the very beginning stages, you have a very clear business plan, and you know what you want to get to consumers, but you need a roadmap getting there. The problem that we were trying to solve for was that we built a minimal viable product on WordPress, but it wasn't robust enough. And we had so many add-ins and plugins that I felt like it was quite fragile. And I wanted the ability to not only create a more robust platform, but I wanted to be able to expand it to a national service. And to do that, we really needed to build out a web application.
Erin came to Yeti and we worked with her initially on a sprint where we did a lot of brainstorming. We thought a lot about who these users might be and how we could serve them in the best way. And we helped her actually create a roadmap looking forward for this idea.
So this is the Hello Divorce user journey map. What we had to do when we were building this product is we had to map out the entire divorce process. So starting from an ex triggering a divorce to contemplating a divorce, we needed to understand the steps that people would go through so that we could design the product to fit this narrative and be able to have somebody follow it logically. We've also identified where there's specific opportunities that the product can tap into and make better for the user. So like how might we build trust early on is a good example of that.
So she took that roadmap and she was able to go get some funding, and she also built out part of her WordPress site to serve as the Divorce Navigator. But WordPress isn't really meant to be an app, if you will. It's really just meant to be a static website. And so WordPress was not really serving the user as we would have liked it to. And so Erin came back to Yeti and we decided to actually build out the Divorce Navigator as a separate piece of the WordPress site. So for a user, it feels very smooth to go from WordPress to the Hello Divorce Navigator, but they're actually two totally separate things. So we had a lot of things to consider when we started to build this. We had to consider the fact that Erin had worked with another company to create some really great form fill software so that if you're a user, you're filling out your paperwork, you can actually fill out many of the forms online and just print them and save them. We also had to consider that in divorces there are two parties. So there's a person who's a petitioner and a person who's a responder. And we really wanted to be able to serve both of those people. And then a part of this for Erin was also creating membership levels. So those were pre-existing from the WordPress site and we brought them over. These membership levels are really great for users because they can choose how much help from a lawyer they might actually need. And then at any time they can know that they can schedule time with a lawyer, even if that's not part of their membership. We made it really, really easy for a user to get their questions answered by a legal professional. The other part that we really wanted to make sure to handle gracefully was divorce can be a hugely overwhelming and stressful process. And so we wanted to really guide the user through each step of it and give them the right articles and the right materials at the right times. So each step in the process is broken down into sub-steps, which are broken down again into more steps, so that a user can really carefully track every single form that they might need, every template that they might want to use, and then have associated articles with each of those steps so that they can get a little bit more information. And Erin was very careful about choosing which articles went where to really support the user on their journey. And it also includes, even post-divorce, having the right steps available for the users so that they can both legally make sure that they have crossed their I's, dotted their T's, but also make sure that they're being supported emotionally through the process. Another huge add-on that we created was creating a dynamic checklist. So when you first log onto the platform, if you scroll down, you can view each step of the process, and then all of the checklist items that you might need to complete that are associated with that. And you can check them there, or if you are going through the process, if you would rather see it on a page view, then each step has the associated check boxes with it, so that as you go, you can just check things off and they're reflected in both lists.
So we launched just a few weeks ago, so I don't have a ton of feedback to report. However, I think what I'm most excited about is anytime you go and you launch, sort of cross your fingers, toes, and you get really concerned about what might happen. And will it break down? Will people like it? Will there be any major issues that cause us to have to pull together and work really hard and spend a lot of money? And fortunately, we launched, and while we had a couple people who had a little trouble logging on for the first time, we determined that that was user error. We were able to help them. They are on and they are doing great. And what I love the most is that people are using the Divorce Navigator exactly how I intended them to use it, which is to help them through the divorce process. But if they get stuck and need a little extra help along the way, they will reach out to us, which is, I think, crucial for divorce because it is such a complicated process. So we just received incredible feedback, both from the legal industry and, the wider audience, and that's really exciting to me. So the Yeti process was the main reason why I picked Yeti. Both co-founders, Tony and Rudy, have it down to a science. What they do is they have a sprint, and so you know exactly what is going to get done within what time frame. The process working with them was great. We had a project manager, which I think is absolutely key when you're working with a development team. Developers are sometimes challenging to communicate with. As much as I love them and as talented as they are, sometimes they can be quite challenging to communicate with, at least on the first go around. So having the project manager was key because she could talk their language and she could interpret what I had to say and then bring it back to the development team. And then in our weekly meetings, they would fill me in on where we are and what we're doing. And of course, as a founder, you're always feeling a little bit insecure about the progress of the app and what needs to happen next. So at any point during the week, between our weekly meetings, I was able to communicate with the team via Slack, via phone, via text, via email. They made themselves completely available, which I really appreciate. And also, when we work together on content or specific projects using Google Drive or Google Docs, I noticed that very quickly after I made revisions or asked questions, someone from the team was on it and ready to respond and pick up the phone if necessary. So I would say that one of the things I love about Yeti is that it doesn't matter what industry you are in. They are curious, and I think curiosity is so key for a successful business because in order to dive into a topic like law, you really have to be curious about what is it, what is the human experience going through the process, what is the law, and believe me, there are so many big words in law that need to be broken down into plain English, so that's incredibly challenging too. So, I don't worry about the complexity of the legal problems or issues we're trying to solve. I just bring it to them, explain them in the best way I know how, and they help me to break it down in a way that we can easily present that material and guide to our users.